The top stories: Ethiopia hosts the 4th International Suppliers Conference on Pharmaceutical Supply. Hello and welcome to EBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism, with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. Ethiopia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Gideon Timotheos, held productive discussions with High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission, Kaja Kallas, in Johannesburg on the margins of the ongoing G20 ministerial meeting. They discussed bilateral ties and exchanged views on national, regional and global issues of mutual interest. On the occasion, Gideon reiterated Ethiopia's commitment to revitalizing its long-standing relations with the European Union. Themed Building Stronger Partnerships, Harnessing Local and International Synergies for a Shared Vision, the 4th International Pharmaceutical Suppliers Conference has kicked off. Speaking on the occasion, Director General of the Ethiopian Pharmaceutical Supply Service, Dr. Abdulkadir Galgalo, reiterated that Ethiopian pharmaceutical supply has registered a remarkable progress that reduced importation expenses as a result of the start of local production. The conference is expected to unpack the pharmaceuticals investment opportunities to both local and international suppliers while facilitating networking opportunities. The 3-day conference is also comprised of exhibitions showcasing products and services to a diverse audience of healthcare professionals and suppliers. The official handover ceremony of the supply distribution of 83 trucks and other medical supplies from Africa CDC and other partners to Ethiopian Ministry of Health has been held. Top 20 and 10 highest performing 2023-2024 fiscal year pharmaceutical suppliers have also been awarded during the occasion.
"70 countries across the world that are climate vulnerable, 40% of whom come from this great continent of Africa, recognizing that it is only through unity that we can confront the existential crisis of our generation, that of the climate crisis. This is our moment to show the world that we were not simply apostrophes to the history and the modern history of humanity, but that truly we are the ones who can level the playing field and to create the opportunities that will allow the world to see people, hear people, and feel people, and to value the planet and its biodiversity at the very time when it is greatest in crisis. Let us remove the scars of history and be firm craftsmen of our fate, recognizing that the only people who can stop us now are we but ourselves. We have to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery and to build the future that our people want of us and to give them that pride that is theirs. And we must do so in the spirit and with the results of ADWA.
And finally, scholars say structural problems must be fully addressed to halt unconstitutional changes of governments in Africa. They reiterated the need for the African Union to adopt a new protocol to deter coups d'etats. Goshu Melissa has more.
Following the conclusion of the 38th African Union Summit, which nexus leaders across the continent on a wide range of issues, Cegita Africa and Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation jointly held discussions on the political, social and economic aspects with the scholars. They said structural problems must be addressed to deter unconstitutional change of government in Africa.
So as to pave the way for peaceful transition of governments as a whole in Africa, there must be structural problems fully studied, understood, and these should be addressed. I think sanctions can't deter simply because sanctions don't address the causes, but they deal with symptoms only. And that symptom treatment, most of the time, remains simply transient. It doesn't really sustain. And that's a fundamental issue because the people have hunger for democracy and development. Citizens, those who are paying the tax, are looking for their social contract to be renewed depending upon terminal or regular votes. And also they like to be the sort of sovereignty. It's not a power. So I think these are fundamental issues that need to be addressed, maybe in the new leadership of the AUC chair.
Associate Professor of Political Science and International Relations Jonas Ashne called African Union to adopt a new protocol to halt coup d'etat.
Instrument to respond to coup d'etat has to be revised. We need a new protocols. We need a new response. First, to tackle the crisis, the structural problem between state and society in Africa, which we all Africans share. The nation state is failing. It's a crisis. So we are not building a stable political community in each country in Africa. Yes, some countries remain stable, but the problem is there. So if we have to think seriously about reform when it comes to AU,
right,
it has to speak to Africa itself. What is the problem? What is the major contradiction between state and society in Africa, which led to coup d'etats, which led to civil wars, which led to corruption? Right. So we cannot sanction corruption, but we sanction coup d'etat.
Discussing the economic aspects, Theodros Mokonnen, for his part, said single trade system is needed to accelerate the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
In the AfCFTA, a single trade regime of dealing with non-African countries is needed. That's what lacks because countries are now free to really, trade. That limits the effectiveness of AfCFTA in benefiting the whole continent as it is. So it has to be strengthened to reach a point where, as a continent, we can then determine what kind of trade relationship we need. And even if other countries play the protectionist role, similar to what the EU is now thinking about doing, responding to tariffs, to all of these things, the continent as a whole need to be responding to the. That's what an important element of making AfCFTA effective.
Both scholars underscored Africa should address its problems by itself with the principle of African solutions for African problems.
You're watching ABC, a reminder of the headline. Ethiopia hosts the 4th International Suppliers Conference on Pharmaceutical Supply. That's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Many thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.